Welcome to Reckless, from Wildflower, Rooted and Reckless, the podcast where Angela Walker sets dumpster fires and lets her light shine. Unafraid of hard conversations, this is where perspectives are challenged, minds are opened, and respect is the rule. Because agree to disagree is more than a motto.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Reckless, part of the Wildflower, Rooted and Reckless podcast. I am Angela Walker. I have talked about before having an Enneagram coach. And for those of you that don't know what an Enneagram is, 1, I would say Google it. And 2, it's basically personalities. So a lot of times you'll hear about personality colors, blue, red, yellow, and green. I'm a yellow, actually. And sometimes you'll hear about them in numbers. I am a 9. It gets really interesting because it gets into like when you're an unhealthy 9, you can lean into a lower side of 6. And when you're an intentional 9, you can grow into a high 3. And I know for some people this sounds like a bunch of weird mumbo jumbo, but again, go to Google and ask Google about it and see what you think about it. And if you don't like it, then don't listen. And if you do, well, then here we are. So I got this Enneagram coach by accident through kind of feeling like I had lost myself, right? So through that whole metamorphosis goo stage stuff that I was going through, I was actually cleaning off my iPad, getting rid of some of my apps, and one of them was an Enneagram app, and it was like, oh, take this little free quiz to see which number you are, and I was like, whatever. So I took the quiz, and then it's like, you get a free coaching session, and so I have no idea to this day why I signed up for that coaching session. That is not my cup of tea. That is not something that, like, I have a pretty busy schedule. Okay, so dumping in, meeting with an Enneagram coach who is probably going to be some yo-yo and want my money was not on my list of things to do. But for whatever reason, I felt moved to do it. And I did. And I have never looked back. She is not a yo-yo. She is fantastic. And she has helped me immensely in learning myself and growing into myself through the challenges of life. So anyway, we had a session today. And one of the things that I have struggled with is I'm a lot of a person. I am probably a maximalist. I have a lot of opinions and thoughts and ideas, and I'm very creative, and it just kind of explodes out everywhere. And I can be really, really intense, and then I can be really, really withdrawn, right? And so pretty much I'm unstable. It's the conclusion we're drawing here. I'm just kidding, kind of. I have always been an advocator of myself, of others, of justice for all. I have never shied away from a difficult conversation. Oftentimes, I didn't even realize that I was like causing problems. There's a story that goes about my dad had bought these shirts from a apparel store, and he needed to return some of them to a credit card, and the store was not allowing me. I was young. I was probably just 18 years old, and the store was not allowing me to return the shirts on my dad's credit card. Okay. Trying to return the shirts. They're all brand new. They have the tags on them, onto my dad's credit card, which is the credit card that was used for the purchase in the first place. And I have a note from my dad because he grew up in a time where you could just write your kids notes for anything, and that just was the law. So the lady is like, no, he has to be there. And I call him, and he over the phone gives permission. And this is like a scenario I don't know why it was so important to get these shirts returned, but it was. And the lady was super rude about it. And I'm like, your policy literally says you can just refund it to however you use to purchase it. And she's just being a bitch. She just isn't going to have it, isn't going to cooperate. And the thing is, I know that she can do this. I know that this is allowed. It's in the policy. I mean, nobody's doing anything illegal here. Nobody's spending anybody's money. You're just refunding it back to the original payment. Okay. So this is not difficult, and she is just not having it. So long story short, I asked for a manager. Okay. I asked for a manager. She refuses. She just refuses. She wants me to leave. So I sit on the counter. I know. Okay. That was a little much. But anyway, I did. I sat up on the counter and I was like, I'll leave when you get me a manager. When the manager comes and tells me to leave, then I'll leave. So the manager comes, we explain things, and ultimately the manager goes ahead and refunds the shirts to the original payment method. Okay. I tell you this because that was just one small story of advocating for myself, or in this scenario, for my dad. So this goes on, my son who has special needs, I have had to advocate for him against doctors. And I mean, the worst are the ones that think that they're God. Like, I've got a medical degree, so what I say goes, or if it's not in my textbook, it's not real. Listen, my son is living proof that that's not correct. Okay. And I've had to advocate for him. And over the years, it really does get exhausting, to be honest with you, right? Like, who wants to fight their way through life? And I have learned to kind of pick my battles and not climb all the hills, and learn which ones I'm willing to die on. But also this thing started happening where this whole Karen thing, okay, where there were people that were completely out in left field. Right? Like, if I went with some rando shirts and a receipt and was like, I want to return these for cash. Yeah, by all means, stand on that. Okay. Stand on that. Absolutely. That's outrageous. And if I were then to ask for a manager, yes, then I would be a huge problem. Okay. But if I'm asking you to do something that is within the realm of morally sound, legal, allowed through your policies and procedures, there's no reason for you not to do it. Right? And so if you're just going to be a jerk that day and make me push to where it escalates, it's like basically one of us has to back down, right? And it's just not going to be me. And that's okay. Why is it okay for it to not be the other person, but it has to be me? That's bullshit. So this whole Karen thing kicks off. And of course, as things do, it basically devolves into anybody who stands up for themselves is now a Karen, is now called a name. Okay. And what used to be endearing, okay, what used to be encouraging for others to also stand up for themselves it's now frowned upon. And just in society in general, you look around and it's like, if there's differentiating opinions, which we touched on this last week, then it's a problem for either side. So what I realized in the session is who I am can be very startling for others. It can be very abrasive for others, and it can run people away. How do I be okay with that? I haven't been. I have dulled myself and withheld myself so that others could feel comfortable, because how dare I make people feel uncomfortable or less than? Because again, that is a direction that I see society moving into, this shying away from being uncomfortable. It is with in those uncomfortable moments that we learn the most about ourselves. It's within those uncomfortable moments that we grow into ourselves, right? I mean, that is metaphorically the butterfly's wings flapping to, little shriveled up wings flapping to get that blood flowing, to get those wings going so that they can fly, to open their opportunities. One of the things we talked about is how when you're doing well, I'm just going to talk for myself. When I'm doing something well, when I'm doing good at something, it feels like it really upsets people. Not even just advocating, those stories are extremes, but even just doing this podcast. The fact that I painted my walls and put up decorations and sat down and hit record and pushed through all this uncomfortableness to be here in this moment. It turns people away. It makes them feel uncomfortable because it's almost like a push of now they feel like they have to step up, or they feel like they have to do something kind of out of character or as some sort of growth. And so they shy away. The other side of this is retaliation. That is a real thing. My mind is still blown. I still struggle to wrap my head around retaliation. I have done things in life that were no-goes, right? They were not my shining moments by any means. And I'm sure those things come up in conversations sometimes, but I'm not going to retaliate against somebody. I'm not going to sick somebody on them. I'm not going to call them names or call them out of name over it. I'm going to own it. And I wish more people would do this. I have a situation with a friend right now who does foster care, and she is advocating for her foster child, and it rubbed a new case manager wrong. And that case manager retaliated without going too far into it, made false allegations. And I have witnessed how this has disturbed from the outside, not from the inside happening to me, but actually happening to someone else, where I have witnessed the toll it has taken on the family, the toll it has taken on the child, and the mistrust that has now been placed across the board. I mean, it is terrible. It's a terrible thing. I know my friend. I know her well. I know her family well. I know that this is erroneous, and I know that this is a reaction and a response to her advocating. I want to say pushing, but that's the wrong word. She's advocating. To advocate for someone means to stand up for them. We talk about, bullying and people getting bullied. This whole tell somebody thing is about a joke, right? Nobody does anything about it. You've got to advocate for yourself. You've got to stand up for yourself. But I'll be damned, man. It really sucks, especially when it creates discomfort and people run away from it. It's not like people are like, oh, this person is advocating for somebody or something. Let me come stand with them. It's like, oh, that person's advocating. Oh gosh, they're loud and causing friction. I'm just going to run over here. Okay, just pretend like I'm minding my own business. I'm going to watch and be nosy, but I'm not actually going to involve myself. And what the fuck is that? Again, it's one of those situations where it's interesting if it's your child, you'd be happy to have an advocator on your team, right? That's a whole profession in itself. There are professional advocators, but not just when it doesn't go against you. When it doesn't even involve you, you want to snub your nose and turn your shoulder. That's not cool. That's not the move. We have to work together as one, as a society, to kind of keep this world turning. But turning on each other, it's just never going It's never going to work. But what I realized for myself was that I put a lot of responsibility on myself for others' feelings or emotions or comfortableness. It's just interesting to me too that the more you find yourself and the more you become confident and comfortable in yourself, it seems to want to scare people away. So like the more you kind of shine bright like a diamond, like some people flee. But what I've realized is sometimes that bright light that runs those people away is also the light that shines further out to where you're going. Like it illuminates people you haven't even met yet, opportunities you didn't know existed. They talk about doors being open or windows being open, but imagine an entire universe that you didn't even know existed because your light didn't shine bright enough to even see it. So the session today was really about coming back to myself and not being so worried about who I might offend or who I might upset or who's going to judge me or say I'm not godly enough because I say cuss words, or I'm not a good enough mom because my kids have made less than stellar choices at times. The interesting thing is you realize people are going to shy away from you when you are your authentic self and when you're not your authentic self for that matter. And you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I think most of us at the end of the day, we worry about being lonely, and none of us want to be rejected. None of us want to be lonely. Being alone and being lonely are two totally different things. You can be alone and not lonely. You could be in a room full of people and be lonely as hell. And so with that, I would say always be yourself. Always shine bright. Don't let anybody dim your light, especially just to make them feel comfortable. You cannot control. I cannot control how other people feel. I cannot control how other people are going to receive me. All I can control is myself, and even that's barely. So with that, we wrap up another episode of Reckless, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
You've been listening to a Wildflower Rooted and Reckless podcast production with Angela Walker. Catch Wildflower drops on Tuesdays, Rooted on Wednesdays, and Reckless on Thursdays. Subscribe wherever you listen. Stay wild, stay rooted, stay reckless.